Hey guys, insight number 3. So this week, the lesson is literally we're responsible for our own learning, and that's because it's that weird week between Christmas and New Year's where somehow nothing seems to happen, but the time's still there and we just let it go. It's a nice kind of week. It's a weird sort of time warp week where you just kind of exist and rest and eat and spend time with family, and sometimes people go to work but they don't really do much. I'll see how it goes in the temple because I'll be in the temple working. It might be quite busy. We don't know. We'll see. It's not booked out so far. So if you're in Hamilton, New Zealand and you want to come to the temple, we're open, just not Saturdays. So we're open the Tuesday through Friday between those dates. And you are most welcome. But check we're open first. So maybe look at the website to see the times or give us a call. Anyway, go to the temple. Do something worth it. Spend time with your family. Just have one of those awesome weeks that just happens in that time. And of course, we all love the Boxing Day sales. Well, we do in New Zealand anyway. But, it's up to you if you've got any money left, right? That's the economy. But we are responsible for our own learning. So that's it there. And this is how I sort of prepare to teach. I'll write some notes in as I'm going through this. And then I'll write my book that you've seen me with. So this week's recordings won't have any notes attached to it because I'm just randomly talking about Come Follow Me, not teaching anything specific. But that's why I like a manual. So remember that the wards aren't going to give these to you anymore. You're either going to have to use electronic or go and buy them from distribution yourself. So maybe if there's some person in your ward that is not good with electronics, maybe go pick them up a copy. Check with them first, see if they want one. Pick them up a copy, do a bit of ministering there. Go visit with them and have a chat about how awesome Come Follow Me is going to be this year. Give them a bit of support. Okay, so is Come Follow Me just another thing on our to-do list? Or is it the foundation of our weeks and days? So don't just be one fish. Don't just be one that fish are thrown to. Learn how to fish. Feed your spirit. That whole teach a man to fish. You can feed him a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, feed him for life. That's our responsibility. So don't just be the one that the fish gets thrown to. Be the one that learns how to do it so you can feed your own spirit. Don't just rely on a teacher in Sunday school, because through COVID, there wasn't any, right? And maybe your ward doesn't have enough people, or maybe the teacher gets sick last minute and somebody's got to step up and they don't know how to teach and they're just trying to do their best, and you're sitting there going, I'm not getting spiritually fed. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but that's kind of your responsibility. So gives you some ideas there, but yeah, ideas for personal study. So one of them is, to truly learn from the Saviour, I must accept his invitation, come follow me, which is what the whole program has talked about. What all of us that do this and teach online have Come Follow Me somewhere in the title. By the time I created it, because I was about 12 hours late to the party, it only took 12 hours. Come Follow Me was all taken, so I had to go with CFM. But that's why I went CFM, Rejoice, Speak Christ. So it is Come Follow Me, and we rejoice and speak of Christ. It's not about my agenda or whatever. I teach from this manual, and as I said, the teacher's one, which is a red cover, and thinner, more for the Sunday school teachers, but it has some different approaches for some things. But I have both of those, and that's what I get my lessons from. So I go with that, and I would recommend the same thing. You're welcome to do other programs on top of that, but please start here, because this is really good and it's suited to everyone, and you can suit it however you want. So do that, take up that invitation, right? And it goes straight into talking there about the rich young man, who was one of the parables, who I love. I am responsible for my own learning. Goes through that parable, and we'll go through it again when we get to it. It's like we can ask all the things in the world around how do we do this, which is what that rich young man did. He went to Christ. He's like, I believe you. How do I live the gospel more? How do I do this? And Christ told him what to do, and he's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. So it's like, if you want those things you're responsible for doing, what you get answered. Like, if you're going to ask those questions, you're responsible to take that up. So it goes through there some of the Christ teachings, an example from his life, and how do you want to live that. So that will help you teach it. But yeah, I'm responsible for my own learning. Now, Elder Bednar comes in again, and they quote this here. Actually, there's 3 quotes from Elder Bednar this week. It's good. We should not expect the church as an organisation to teach or tell us everything we need to know and do to become devoted disciples and endure valiantly to the end. Rather, our personal responsibility is to learn what we should learn, to live as we know we should live, and to become who the Master would have us become. And our homes are the ultimate setting for learning, living, and becoming. Now, I've used that twice because it's in the beginning and it's right there. But it's important. That's why I used it twice. It's important to remember. So we should not expect the church as an organisation to teach or tell us everything we need to know. We are responsible to find these things out. I see a lot of people actually expecting to be spoon-fed everything they need to know. And it's like, that's just not how it works. And that's what I was talking about, the classroom, where the teacher will write it on the board and say, copy it in your books. That's the lesson for today. Did you learn anything in those lessons? What did you learn? That school sucks and it's really boring? That's about it, right? But if you had a teacher that engaged with you and asked you questions that made you think, where you got to share experiences on what you're going through and talked about how it related to you, you would learn a lot more. You would come away from that thinking, I can do that better. Actually, I want to change that. And I don't like the way we do this at home. I'm going to do that instead. And I really like that other sister's suggestion of how she teaches her children. I'm going to try that as well. So that's what it's about. We shouldn't expect to be spiritually uplifted by our Sunday school teacher. We'd like to be, but we shouldn't expect to be. We need to take care of that ourselves. And we need to bring our best selves of support to that teacher and our best interactions with that class and not complain about it. Give them goodness and grace. They work really hard on those lessons. Mostly, I'm sure. Probably some don't. But we still pray for them because we want them to take that opportunity and do good with it. Okay? So keep that in mind too. So what does it mean to you guys to take responsibility for your own learning? What does that look like for you? For me, that looked like I have questions and I used to ask questions and I'd get shut down by my youth leaders. Oh, you don't need to know that. No, you're too young for that. And I'm like, but I want to know. Even when I was in primary, I'd have questions and the teachers would like, no, we're not talking about that right now. And it used to frustrate me. And I think it's mostly because they had this set lesson that they thought they had to get through, or maybe they didn't even know the answer and it was just too difficult for them to say, I don't know. And I was a precocious, loud-spoken child, and I am a precocious, outspoken adult. Funny that, right? So I always liked teachers that would take the time, especially if the whole class had this question, instead of sticking with that lesson plan, to put that down and actually discuss what was being said. Now, it takes a good teacher to do that, a teacher that is led by the Spirit. And so if you are teaching, I encourage you to be that. And if you're in a class where that's not happening, maybe go and speak to that person afterwards that didn't get that response and give them some time and say, what is it about that you had a question? Maybe I can help you with that. Or maybe we can pray for an answer together. It's just nice, right? You want to help others. So take responsibility for your own learning. And they give you some examples there in the scriptures where people did take responsibility for their own learning and how they felt inspired to be more active in the gospel. That's really cool. All right, so hang around. We've got 2 more to look over in this lesson about knowing the truth for ourselves and what do we do when we have questions, because they always come up, right? So hang around and I'll see you for insight number 4. See you soon.